Finally, Shemini, again, has to do with the priesthood. You'll find that the whole purpose of the priesthood is to teach God's people. The they there is talking about the priest. They're to teach my people. They're to teach my children the difference between kadosh and common, and enable them to distinguish between clean and unclean, right? So you are the Ami. The Yoru here, the Yoru it sounds like Yoru. That is the Torah. That's the instructions. Okay. That's what they're supposed to teach. My people is the Torah. And I want you to teach it. I highlighted the hot pink right here because this right here is more important than anything else that I'm talking about. Okay. The word bain right here is between. Okay. I want you to know the difference between. So kadosh and lakol. Lakol means to treat as common or to poke a hole in, right? So kadosh is very, very special. It's like a treasure. That's why I'm telling you to be a treasure, because you are my treasure. If you are my treasure, you got to be set apart. You got to be kadosh, right? So how do you become kadosh? That was the question I'd asked. Well, they have to teach it to you. And they are talking about the Leviim. They're the ones who're supposed to teach this to you. I said that this is the most important word that I want you to understand, bain, because bain represents what they call a chasm. Okay. I had a picture, but I wasn't able to download it in here. Well, what a chasm is, everyone, is like there is a space here, and then here's another one. So the between is from this space to this space. Okay. And there's like, you have to put a bridge from one space to the next. Okay. So there's this huge gap between that which is clean and that which is unclean. There's a huge gap between that which is, they got up there, tameh, and that which is tahor, which is clean and unclean. Okay. Tahor is clean, tameh is unclean. There's a huge gap between to be kwadosh, which is to be set apart. Kwadosh, forgive me, kwadosh, and the other side of kwadosh is to be l'kol. CCH. Forget the writing, kol, meaning to be profaned, be common. Okay. So there's a huge gap. That's what I want you to understand. It's not easy going from one to the other. Yes, it could be transmitted easily. You know, we find in some portions of the scriptures that you find that anybody who touches somebody that is kadosh, that have touched the offerings, that will become kadosh. Anybody that in the book of Ezekiel, he said that anybody that was able to, I want you to change your clothes, because holiness can be transferred from clothing to a person. It can be transferred from, just like uncleanness can be transferred from the fly to the vessel, you know, or the insect. So kadosh can be transferred, right? But there's still a huge gap between it. And because if you don't, and this is the reason why I need you to destroy vessels that have been made unclean, because when it was holy and somebody touched it the wrong way, they're missing this understanding. It's like they filled the gap, they connected these two, and they can't be connected. And that's what the Most High is trying to let us know. He's really saying that there is such a gap between kadosh and being common that you guys don't understand it. That's why I got to teach it to you. And what we see today is everyone is bringing closer that which is kadosh to that which is common. That's what's happening. It's a drawing near now. Now all of a sudden everybody's kadosh. Now all of a sudden everybody has my spirit. Now all of a sudden everybody can touch anything. Now everybody can be a priest. Now everybody can say whatever they want. Now they can go, you know, roast the lamb and say that to keep it Pesach, because they don't really know. They don't understand the chasm, the gap. Okay. And if you don't understand this gap, and you don't understand that I need to be taught, then guess what's going to happen to you? You're going to die like Nadav and Abihu. That's what's going to happen, because they, for whatever reason, They gave something that was kadosh and replaced it with that which was common, because they thought that Yah would accept it, and Yah's not going to accept it. They did not make a difference between kadosh, which is YHWH, and themselves, humanity. See? They didn't understand that. See? So what we've been doing as a people, and especially what troubles me the most, is while we're in our exile, we're trying to fill the gap. We don't want a separation. We don't want to separate this from this. We were trying to fill the gap. We're trying to make a bridge and connect these two so we can walk right across with no problem. Yah says, no, there is a separation, right? Just like light and darkness. Just like wickedness and the righteous. You and I need to understand that you need to understand the difference between. I need you to know it. This right here is to know. 2 letters. There's the I again. There's the door again. It just reversed. This is the witness. The other one here means to know. That means knowledge. Same words. Same letters connected in their meaning. You can't be a witness without having knowledge. So I need to teach you. So the people need to teach the people. These Levi'im need to teach my people. And let me ask you something. Today, are we being taught by the Levi'im? No. So if you're not being taught by Levi'im, you're not, and neither am I, kadosh. So when Yah comes and he gets us, he says, this is why I'm not coming to get you because of any good that you've done, because there's no good. You haven't been taught. I don't have a slide here, but the Most High said, nobody's going to teach you because I'm going to teach you. I'm going to give you the people. You're not going to have anybody say, no, Yahweh, for they all know me. How are they going to know me? Because we said, well, he's going to teach us. Yeah, he's going to teach you. I'm going to teach him through my people, my priest. Because they're the ones who are the closest to me. Not everybody's going to be close to Yah. Don't you get it? Not all of us, that's over. It's not going to be that. You're not going to be close to me. You and I are not going to be like that. Let me share the falsehood in the priesthood. Falsehood about the priesthood can be found in what they call the epistles, which are the communication that was made between the Europeans and the churches. And has been given to the whole entire world, a whole bunch of letters, which some people call newspaper clippings, a whole bunch of commentary, okay, and ideas about the priesthood. In these epistles, they told you and I, but you are a chosen generation, racer nation, a royal priesthood. People actually believe this. And a holy nation, a peculiar people, that you should show forth the praises of him who have called you out of darkness into his marvelous light. Making a separation. In time past, we're not a people, but now are the people of God, which had not obtained mercy, but now have obtained mercy. This is in the epistles. So they're telling them, which they tried to convince us, and we were convinced, till Yah came and showed us that it's wrong, that they're chosen and that they're a royal priesthood. So if they're the royal priesthood, then we're going to get rid of Yah's priesthood. We're going to get rid of the Levi'im who's supposed to teach the children of Israel. We don't need them anymore. Scratch them. Okay? So here's the deal. If you and I are going around and we're thinking that we're following someone who is a Levi'im, and they're not, and they haven't been verified by Yah, they haven't gone through a consecration period for 7 days, they haven't purified the altar. Guess what it is, you guys? The only way that we get connected to Yah is through the altar. And that's something that they want to get rid of. They'll replace the altar with the cross. So they'll move you from this to this. So you won't have the relationship, because the relationship with Yah is through the altar. And I'm going to show you that. So if they change the priesthood, they need to change the altar. We don't need the altar anymore. Now we got the cross. So even the Hebristians, the ones who are Christians, hybrids, Hebrews, they're following the cross. They're not following the altar because they say you don't need a sacrifice anymore, which is not true. Okay. But they're saying that they're a chosen generation. They're saying that they're different. They're different. They're different than Israel. Okay. They're saying they're the holy nation now without the priesthood. I have here for you some information for you about Paul, the epistle, the letter that he's writing, versus what King David said, elect David. Listen to this. On your left-hand side is what Paul said, and on the right-hand side, you see elect David. Okay. Paul uses what David said, but he makes some changes. So he could get you off of the altar and get you onto something else. Okay. Let's see what Paul says. He said, this is why on coming into the world, talking about Christ, he says, it has not been your will to have an animal sacrifice or a meal offering. Rather, you have prepared for me a body. No, you would have not been pleased with burnt offerings and sin offerings. Then I said, look, in the scroll of the book, it is written of me, about me, I have come to do your will. So this is about the will of God that Christ said that he's coming to do. And he says that God wasn't interested in offerings, so that's why he prepared a body for Christ. Okay. Paul is referencing Psalms chapter number 40. Okay. This right here, I believe right here, I think this is in the book of Hebrews. Sacrifice and grain offerings you don't want. This is what David said. Burnt offerings and sin offerings you don't demand. Okay. Instead, you have given me open ears. So then I said, here I am, I'm coming. In the scroll of the book, it is written about me. Okay. David is making a statement about Yah opening his ears, not about a body. So Paul deliberately changed it from open ears to a body so he can fit the meta narrative about Christ. See? So why would he change this? Because if you don't have a body, you don't have a sacrifice. David over here wasn't saying that Yah wasn't pleased with it. He's saying that you're not asking for that. What you want first is open ears so a person can understand what you're saying. Remember, I said earlier in some of my teachings, he says, here I am, I'm available to you. That's what you're after. You're after me being available to you. That's all he was saying. He's saying, don't use the sacrifice and the grain offerings to just physically just do it. He's saying, remember, I told you the physical teaches you about the spiritual. So it's like he's saying that David never offered any grain. David made sacrifices. But through those sacrifices, he understood, oh, you're using the physical to teach me about the spiritual. Oh, you're saying that you want the only reason, the purpose for the sacrifice and the grain offerings and the mincha and the burnt offerings is saying, oh, you don't just want the animal. Oh, you want the whole me. That's what the whole olah means. You want the whole me. Oh, now that you want the whole me, oh, that's what it means? You want all of me? Because that's what a whole burnt offering is. It's all. Oh, you want all of me? Oh, my ears are open. I can hear you. I can hear you. I can finally hear you. Here I am. I'm coming. I'm going to give you all of me now. That's what he was saying. He wasn't saying that I want you don't want the offerings. Yeah, use the offerings to teach us. That's what he was saying. But let Paul tell it. Says something totally different. Look what Paul said versus what Yahweh says. Let's read what Yahweh says first. This is what Yahweh says. There will never be cut off from David a man to occupy the throne of the house of Israel. Nor will there ever be cut off from the Kohanim, who are Leviim, a man before me to offer burnt offerings. Oh, wow. That totally negates what Paul said just previously. Okay. There'll never be a man to cut off from David. There'll never be a man cut off from the Leviim, a man to offer burnt offerings, to burn grain offerings and offer sacrifices. How many days? Every day. First day, yep. Second, yep. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, all every day. For the rest of their lives, they're going to offer sacrifices to Yahweh. That's what Yah says. And you can find this in Jeremiah chapter number 33. But look what Paul said. In saying first, you neither willed or were pleased with animal sacrifices, meal offerings, burnt offerings, sin offerings, things which are offered in accordance with the Torah. And then look, I've come to you your will. Now he's going talking about Christ, talking about what his will was. He takes away the first system, which is the one of the loving and the offerings, in order to set up a second. It is in connection with this will, talking about the will of God, that he says that it's the will of God, that Yah didn't want it, that Christ came with the body, right? That's what he's saying. Yah's will is that he didn't want this anymore. So he's given him a body, and in connection with his will, that we have been separated for God and made holy. So they're saying that Paul's telling you that you could be made holy and separated by what? By the body of Christ. Once and for all, through the offering of Yeshua, the Messiah's body. So they got to get rid of the first system in order for the second system to work. And that's the goal of the church. That's the goal of the people who hate Yah. Yah never said that. Yah didn't say that it's going to get rid of the, he doesn't want that. Yah says, I'm going to take all the offerings from the Leviim. There will always be a man. There will never be cut off from me of the Kohanim who will offer to me every day. Here he says it's once and for all. There's no more offerings. So you got to ask yourself, well, who am I going to believe? Am I going to believe the letters and the epistles from these people, or am I going to believe what the Most High said, according to the prophets? Here's something about Paul said too. Paul, he's talking about the past, and Ezekiel's talking about the future. Continuing with Paul, Paul says, but this one, after he had offered for all time a single sacrifice for sins, sat down at the right hand of God, and from then on, wait until his enemies made his footstool for his feet. For by a single offering, he has brought to the goal for all time those who are being set apart for God and made holy. Again, being kadosh, being set apart through what? A single offering, bringing to the goal for all time. So there won't be any more bringing any offerings, because it's an all-time offering to make you holy. So the people that are Christians and are listening to me right now, you're under the erroneous impression that you are set apart and that you're holy. Okay? That's what you're under the false understanding. Listen what Ezekiel said according to what Yah told him. Yah said on the future, on the 14th day of the first month, you are to have a Pesach, a feast 7 days long. Matzah will be eaten. On that day, the prince in the future will provide for himself and for all the people of the land a young bull as a sin offering. Ezekiel chapter number 45. On the 7 days of the feast, he's to provide a burnt offering for Yahweh. Remember, he said Yah doesn't want a burnt offering anymore. That's what Paul said. 7 young bulls, 7 rams without defect daily for 7 days, and a male goat daily as a sin offering. For who? For the people of Israel. And the prince is going to provide one for himself and for all the people. So if Christ did an all-time offering and everybody's made holy, then why is there still sin in the future? Why are people still going to die in the future? Let Paul tell it. Paul says, don't you know that you people are God's temple and that God's spirit lives in you? So if anyone destroys God's temple, you or God will destroy him. For God's temple is holy, and you yourselves are that temple. So he's telling the people that you're holy. He's saying that you're God's temple. Yahweh says, I will put my spirit inside of you and cause you to live by my laws. Respect my rulings and obey them. If indeed the Christianity and the followers of Paul, which is an ambassador for Christ, said that God's spirit is inside and he lives in you, then why don't they live by his laws? Why don't they respect his rulings? His laws right here, his kukim. The kukim is Yah's decrees. The decrees are talking about the set apart times. The decrees is what Yah said about how the Leviim are supposed to get a portion, not of the land, but of all the offerings. There's several different type of kukims. The Mishpat team is his rulings. So are they following Yah's judgments? Are they living by them? Are they obeying them? Are they respecting these judgments? Yah tells us what his judgments are about, the Hebrew slave in chapter number 24 of the book of Exodus. You can look it up. It's called Mishpatim. He tells you what happens to the children if they disrespect their parents. He tells you how you should treat a foreigner and a stranger. He tells you how you deal with widows. He tells you his judgments on these things. So if God's spirit is living in them and they're his temple, then why is it that they're living the way that they're living? So you know that this over here is false. This is a falsehood, okay? Right? But Yah says that you're going to live. When Yah gives you his spirit, you're going to live by his laws. You're going to respect his rulings, and you're going to obey them. That means that you're going to do what he said. And then not only when I give you my spirit, I'm going to connect my spirit and life to you living in your land that I gave to your ancestors. You will be my people, and I will be your Elohim. See? So for us, we need to understand something. And that's found in the book of Ezekiel for those who want to know, in chapter number 36, verse number 27. What he's saying is, if I gave you my spirit, I'm going to cause you to live by my laws. Living by Yah's laws means that you have to be taught Yah's laws. Okay? Being taught the laws, the statutes, and the commandments was the job of the priest. They're the ones who's supposed to come and teach it to us. You understand? Okay. So as you learn and you go through life, you be like, hey, this is what Yah says. You have a problem? He says that the priests are going to be my judges in controversies. You can find that in Ezekiel chapter number 44. Okay. So what am I trying to show you? I'm trying to show you there's a contrast between what the Most High said and what these other people are saying. There's a falsehood that we need to be aware of. Now, in conclusion, I have these Hebrew sentences here, okay? The only part that I want to talk about these Hebrew sentences is the things that are highlighted in the pink. Okay, I want to show you something. All right, let me see. Okay, I'll explain it to you. The reason why I highlighted this in pink is because what I'm saying, these words right here is what Yah just said. Okay. So everything that's said right here is what's in Hebrew. Okay. So the first part is, I will put my spirit inside of you. Okay. That's the first part. And the one I want you to focus on is this. You. Okay. Because Paul says, don't you know? Right? Isn't that what he said? He said that you people, right, are the temple of God, and that God's spirit lives in you. Okay. Now, what the Most High is telling us is this. Now, Paul didn't get this from anywhere. When I try to look and say, well, did he reference any type of other scriptures? He didn't. He just said this. This is his opinion. Okay. This is what Yah says. Sure, I get it clear right here. And I'm going to point you to my spirit. That's my rookie. I will give, okay? I'm going to give you my spirit in the midst of you. That you right there is plural. Okay? So if he's talking plural, he's not talking singular. Okay? So he's not saying, hey, don't you know his spirit's inside? He's not talking to individuals at a church. If he's saying this in a plural form, who is he talking to?
Israel.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Question for anybody. How much of Israel?
That's my
Each individual.
I want all. How many tribes?
All 12.
All 12. Okay. And all those who are joined with them. Okay. So when y'all saying this, everyone, I want you to understand so nobody can get you with this. Because this is not about an individual thing, okay? This is about what Yah's intention is for his people, okay? You are his people, but right now you're not recognized as his people in the eyes of the nations. He says, and this is my spirit I will give in the midst of you, Israel, not to you individual. So question is this, has Yah given his spirit to all Israel?
No.
No, very easy. Okay. So we know that this hasn't been fulfilled. Thank you. And see, if we know the grammar, because it's always about grammar, we would be able to chop down what everybody's saying. We'd be able to shoot them down easily. Okay. Because is everybody a Christian? No. So they work on it based on their individual. They say, well, this is what I do. I'm one. I don't care about anybody else. Yah's telling us that he don't want us to think like that. What Yah wants us to think about is a plurality of our people. I don't want you to think as an individual. Like I told you before, we're not blessed. Well, I got a job, I got a car, I got a house. Yah's talking about all Israel.
It should
And
say you all.
I will do, okay? I'm going to point you to what I'm going to do, okay? My kukothai. They're going to live. You guys, that's the plurality. You're going to lake. Okay. The lake right there is walk or to live. All of you guys are going to live and walk in what? And my judgments, you guys right here are going to guard. Okay. It's not that you're going to observe them. You're going to guard what I said. So are any of these Christians, anybody guarding? No. Is all Israel guarding what Yah says? No. So this hasn't happened yet. So this is something you and I can look forward to, because when Yah gives us his ruki, when he puts his spirit in us, right? You and I are going to be enabled to do what he's saying. He said, and they're going to do them. So the only time you and I are going to be able to do what Yah is complete, everything he's saying completely, is when he gives you his ruki. When I give you my spirit, when I attain, when I give it to you and I put it in the midst of you, okay? And I'm going to washaftim, I'm going to return them in their land, the Eretz, in which I have given to their fathers. Your fathers, plurality, and they shall exist to me. That lamed again is to me. The lamed is the shepherd's staff. I'm going to direct them. The yod right there is my hand, possession. I'm guiding and leading them for what? For my people. And I, he emphasizes I again, will exist. I'm going to exist to what? Lakem, to all of Israel, for Elohim, for your Elohim. That's how you know. You see? So it's important for us to understand the grammar. It's important for us to understand what Yah said. If you don't understand the grammar, okay, then you would read it in English and say, oh, I have a spirit. I have a spirit because I keep the Shabbat. Oh, I have a spirit because I respect the judgments and I obey them. Only part I don't have is I don't live in the land. No, you got to understand that when Yah gives us his spirit, it's so that you could live in the land, because you can't live in the land without this no more. That's what he's saying. Yah's telling us you're not going to live in the land if you don't have a spirit. You're not going to live in the land if Yah doesn't give this to you. You're not going to, if you don't obey the laws and statutes. He knows that you and I will never be able to keep the laws and statutes and commandments the way he says without his spirit. That's how important it is. So people going around today saying they have a spirit is lying. People are going around and saying that they're keeping all of his laws and statutes and commandments are lying. They're lying. And they're lying against the Kadosh one. And therefore, because they don't know how to make a separation, they're going to make a mistake that's going to cost them their lives. And that's the mistake that they're making today. They don't have to be in front of an altar to make a mistake. They don't have to go get another censer and put some different fire in it. They think because they don't have a censer with no fire that they won't get killed. Yah's not talking about the censer, and he's not talking about the fire. He's talking about what's inside of Nadav and Abihu. Nadav's name means to be willing. He was impelled. He was excited. He got beside himself, meaning he did something that he thought that was going to be accepted by Yah. And he said, Yah's going to accept this. I'm right here with him. I'm a Levite. My family's been chosen. Those boys died that day. Yah's telling us that if you behave in a manner like Nadav and Abihu, and you think that you're going to come to me and you're going to stand before me and you're going to tout about how well you did, you don't know that I'm Kadosh. And therefore, you forfeit your life. That's what it is. You see, if you're saying that somebody's a Leviim and you're listening to what they're telling you and you're thinking that you're doing everything I'm saying, Yah says you might as well go kill a man. Because I'm gonna pay you back. Shabbat shalom.